Hello once again, this is Brother Teacher. On some days, I just like to teach. Not that I don't teach all of the time on various subjects, but some days I like to teach more than others. I just really feel it, I guess you can say. I have an unction to say certain things. In this particular video, I'm talking about the subject of legalese. The term legal, we have heard this term used all or most of our lives. Now, excuse my video this time, and maybe several other times, by virtue of the way I have my camera set up. It appears as though I'm looking away from you, the audience, but I'm not ignoring you by any means at all. But the subject is on legalese. And what legalese is, it's the language of lawyers, judges, government officials. It is a language that was created to confuse and to mislead the general population, so that we are not aware of the deceptive ways our government has been carrying out business as it relates to all of us. Which should tell you something about the government. Government. A system that controls people. I don't mean to be before you long, but I hope you can get the gist of what I'm saying. If not, get it in its entirety, totality. So if you really care to learn, make very certain that you listen very carefully. The way in which I articulate is Brother Teacher. I'm not like anyone else, so please don't try to confuse me or compare me even with anyone. My methodology is my own. It's not made up. It's just who I am. So, there are some things that we need to understand, comprehend, and overstand. One of those things is our status as human beings, more respectively in America. I'll use the term understand right now. So, understand this. Things are not as they seem, as they appear, and as we believe they have been, as it relates to our language that we have been using in our judicial system, in our government, throughout all of our lives. You must understand who you are. First of all, casting away all indoctrination, all dogma, all religious following and systems of belief. Let's understand and comprehend this. There's one God. That's the most important thing. There's one Creator. Regardless of what we call Him, He does have a name, and His name is not God. God is a title. What God do you follow? Which God do you follow? There are many gods, but which God do we follow? If you're talking about the Creator of all things, living and even beyond that. So, that is who we should have our allegiance to, our alliance to, is the Creator of the balanced universe. Now, if you can subscribe to what I just said, then we are on our way to understanding. So I call the Creator by His Hebrew name, Yahweh. I believe in Jesus Christ, but I call Him by His Hebrew name, Yeshua or Yahshua. That means God of salvation. So I do believe in the Creator, and I do believe in the Son of God. So we can establish that right now. If you have not found that to be true in any of my videos in time past, you know it now. With that said, as I forestated, we owe our allegiance to the Creator, the Supreme Being, not to humanity. In other words, we don't have real leaders on this planet. They don't exist. There are people who stand in positions of authority and power, but they're not the Creator. As long as we understand that. So, there's a lot of corruption that's going on this planet, in governments across the world, and more respectively again in the United States of America. We have a corrupt government. I don't care who has been in office or who is currently in office and who shall be in office after this point in time. It's still corrupt. It's run by men. Men who orchestrate wars all over the planet, who assassinate and kill political figures all over the planet, who kill citizens, so-called, both in this country and beyond, that are innocent, unwarranted, for political reasons. That's the truth. That cannot be refuted if you really know your history. So now, there's a language that's used. We've heard the term again, legal. The word legal did not come from God. I'm going to use God for the sake of conversation, oftentimes throughout this. The word legal did not come from God. In the scriptures, He uses the word law. The law comes from the Creator, the giver of the law. That's Elohim, Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah. That's where the law comes from. Man should pattern himself after the Creator's law. Everything else is man. It's something that man has created. And if it doesn't follow in lockstep with the Creator's law, it's not the law. Take it for what it's worth. Now, with that said, in our government we use a term, legalese. It is that which seems like it's law, but it's not the law of God, the Creator. So that means it has flaws. They create laws and punish people for not following the laws. Don't forget what I said a moment ago. Man's laws should follow in step or in sync with the Creator's laws. And when they don't, they are not following God, the Creator. They are following themselves, their own agendas. So they created something and they called it legalese. You notice when you go to court that they use terminology that you're not familiar with. They even use terminology that you are familiar with, but their definition for that same terminology that they use, that you think they mean, has a different meaning in their system of law, of legalese. If you've ever heard of Black's Law Dictionary, let me ask you this question. Why does a court system use words that the general population doesn't understand if we are all human beings? Should it not be the same language so that we can comprehend what's being told to us? what's being administered, so that we are all on one accord. They don't do that because they don't want you to understand. In the true sense of the word, understand. They don't want you to understand because they are hiding something every time. So what they have done is they have taken common words, common everyday so-called English words, and they've changed the definition of those words to fit their system. And they have manipulated it in such a way that when we come into a courtroom and they print out a document, it has those words that we have learned in school, which we understand a certain definition of. They've changed the definition, but you don't know that. And they've added other words as well that you have no clue as to what they mean. That's the legalese. So, ask yourself this question. Why does a court system, why do lawyers have to use words that's different than the English language that we all speak? Think about it. What words do they use? De facto. De facto means that which is actually true. Excuse me. That which is false. De jure is what's true. De jure. That's true. De facto is something that's artificial. Legal, the term legal is not actually law. It is that which has or bears the appearance of being law, but it's not. If you spit on the ground because you have a cold and you're spitting mucus on the ground, in some places you might get a ticket and have to pay money. Why is that a law that you get punished for? Think about it. If you throw a piece of trash on the ground, yes, it's polluting. It's trash pollution, if you will. In some areas you can be highly fined. But notice that they take something from you for throwing trash on the ground. They go into your wages, whatever your monthly income is or your weekly income is, and they take money from you. They punish you by imposing a fine on you. So what does the money go to? Is that going to make you a better citizen or a better person? Okay. We're still talking legal. You break the law. Have you ever heard the expression, it is illegal? Ill means not. It is not legal to not wear your seatbelt when you're driving your automobile or operating your motor vehicle. It is not legal. It is illegal, not legal. And if you're caught not wearing a seatbelt while you're driving, or your children are not in a seat restraint, you get a ticket. You are fined again. That's our system of government. For example, again, so they take something from you. Do they know if it's corrected your actions in the future? No, they don't know that at all. But they're going right to the bank with your money. And don't pay the ticket. You risk the possibility of being incarcerated if the ticket stays unpaid too long. And they'll take your driving or operating privileges from you. And why do we have privileges to operate a vehicle as opposed to the right to operate a vehicle? It gets deeper. So now, we're talking about legalese again. Did you not know that the government does not look at you as a human being? You are expendable. True. You are. We are expendable. Did you not know that the United States is not a country? The United States is a company. It is a for-profit business. I could stay here long, but I'm scaving the surface, so to speak. The so-called country that we live in North America is not a country at all. It is a business, just like McDonald's, just like Walmart, Just like Best Buy, it has a president. It has a vice president. It has a secretary of treasury. It is a business, and it's run like a business. It's based on money. That's it. And it does not care about you and I. What it cares about, what you and I can do in terms of our sweat equity to build it and continue to keep it going. This country makes money from our labor. And we are taxed to make sure that they get money from us. And almost everything that you do is taxed. Almost everything that you do is monetized by this so-called country. Now, did you not know, here's the bigger kicker. We are looked at not as human. We are looked at as corporations. Now, if you break the word corporations down, the base word is corpse. That means we're dead. Dead to who? The powers that be that run this place that we occupy. So now, how can we further go down the rabbit hole and explain and express this? Why is it that every major piece of mail that you get from any collector, that's your utilities, your water, your gas, and your electric, and even your mortgage, has your name in all capital letters? Ever thought about it? I've talked about this in time past. Your name is in all caps. Did you learn how to write your name in all caps when you were in elementary school? Junior high school? High school? No. Uppercase, the first letter, everything is lowercase after that. Using a proper noun, proper name. If your name is Bob, it's capital B, lowercase o, and B. If your last name is Jones, capital J, lowercase o, n, e, and s. That's proper. But if you are the corporation and you open a bank account, your name is going to come on your check in all capital letters. Did they make a mistake? No, that's intentional. Bob Jones is going to be capital B, capital O, capital B. Jones is going to be capital J, capital O, capital N, capital E, capital S. Jones. That's the corporation called you. It's a fact. Your utility bills are going to come with all capital letters. The system is set up that way because that is the only way a corporation can deal with you, is as a corporation. That's how they make their money. If this is too much for you, I'm sorry. You can jump off the boat. But it gets deep. Did you not know, if you have a personal checking account, if you look at your checks, where your signature block is, first of all, pay attention to your name at the top left of your check, all capital letters. Where you sign your name, drop down to the bottom right, that is not a line. Those are words. Yes, it is. Get a magnifying glass and you know where you sign your name on the lower right of your check. Those are words strung out to look like a line. They're called microprint. You will see an MP in the bottom corner. That stands for microprint. Why are you putting words and letters on a line if it's supposed to be in line? A line is just typed out or it's drawn out, right? So what do those words say, teacher? What do the words say on that supposedly line B for official use? That's what it says. You'll find it to be true. Why is that there? Not by accident. It's because you are the living being that's signing for the corporation that's attached to that check in all capital letters. You're the living being. They need something living. So this is the living me. For example, my name in all capital letters on that check is the corporation me. But it needs a living being to sign for it. Let me take you a little bit further. The word signature, sign, first part of the word, nature. Signature, it is a sign of nature. That's why you write your name in cursive. It is your signature. It is a sign of nature. We are nature. So nature is signing to make that document called a check official. And any other thing that you sign, you're making it official. That's why it needs a sign of nature. Something that's real is making this thing that's fake effective, or have it any real purpose. Now let me tell you this also. Mostly everything that you sign in terms of documents are contracts, and they don't tell you about it. If they don't tell you it's a contract, if you go to court, when you sign your name on any document in court, it's a contract. You are agreeing to something, no matter what they tell you. Oh, you're signing this just because you're saying to us that you received it. For real? That's the lie. That's a deception. No, you are accepting whatever they're handing you or telling you or expressing to you. That's a legalese again. Now, a true contract is between two parties. If you sign something, someone else is supposed to sign it as well. Wet signature, not a stamp that looks like their name. That is not a true signature. It's supposed to be a wet signature like yours. If you use a pen to sign, they must use a pen to sign because they are nature also. But oftentimes, the contracts are one-sided. They get you to agree with something. They don't sign it, but you sign it. It's one-sided, so they are already being deceptive. Think about what I just told you. Remember that in the future. Contracts, two parties. They must agree, you agree, then you both sign. You cannot make a contract enforceable if only one party signs it. And that's the law. So I'm going to pause here in this video now. I hope that you've learned something. If you did, please let me know. I hope that this was enlightening to you. Remember this. Sometimes you have to take a deep breath and learn how to say no. I know sometimes we feel uncomfortable. We've been taught to fear power, people in power, governments and so forth. Sometimes you have to stand firmly on both your feet. Stand on your square. Look the devil in the eye and say no. And mean it. And believe it. And don't worry about any ramifications. Don't worry about being imprisoned for the truth. This is what Christ went through. This is what many other patriots have gone through. Standing for the truth. The question is, when are you going to stand for the truth? Or will you continue to allow people to oppress you and take away your freedoms that were given to you by the Creator? That was it. And that was all.